Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist, and today I'm going to tackle one of my biggest questions I get asked, especially when it comes to mascara makeup, because everyone wants all their colors in their compact, and they want to know, how do I do my under eyes? How do I color correct these dark circles or purple, blue tones, no matter what kind of issues you have? I'm even going to talk about the dreaded fine lines that we all will eventually have. I know I'm already struggling with them. So we're going to talk a little bit about mature skin and color correction today, how exactly I do my under eyes and some options, the best way and the best application methods for getting a great look without any cakiness or emphasis of fine lines or all that stuff that we don't want, right? So, all right, if this video helps you, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you see when my next video is live. Thank you guys. Let's get to it. All right, guys, let's get started. So I went ahead and did my eyes first. So the reason for this is because obviously if you spend all this time on your under eye and you do get fallout and you go to sweep it away and it can take off some of that coverage you just placed. If your eyes were perfect and then you have to fix it, layering on more powder is going to increase your issues there. So avoid all that. Do your eyes first and then you can finish the bottom of your eyes. We'll do that after we do our under eye correction. So, okay, eyes first. Make sure your skin is prepped. So I always apply, my SPF and any kind of eye cream, eye balm, that kind of thing. So dry under eyes are going to show more texture. And as we age, the more dry our under eyes become. So it's really important to put a specialized eye cream on before your makeup. That's going to help moisturize that area, and then the makeup's not going to stick and collect as badly as if you just had dry under eyes. So everyone knows how you get a dry patch, the makeup just never sets on it well. So using an eye cream is going to make sure we don't have that issue. When I first go to under eye correction, I think of basic color correction. So it's nothing too crazy. Your artist can help you pick colors, but depending on your overall skin tone and then the color under your eyes is going to determine what colors are best for you in order to color correct, if you even need it. There's a lot of people that have no issues under their eyes and you don't have to do color correction. So if you're one of those lucky people, you can skip ahead and just go to the main highlight part. But for all of us that do have that issue, this is for you. So I don't have crazy dark circles, but I have purple and blue tones, okay? Because I have very thin skin around my eyes, and you can see I even have like, what do you call that? Someone tell me what it was called the other day. More of that bag area, or what do they call it? Tear trough lines? Is that a thing? I swear that's what someone said. So when you have those parts of your eyes that dip down, it's not as noticeable but then I have like one wrinkle that likes to go right across this one eye, and it is a huge problem area for me. So we're gonna kind of talk through how we can avoid enhancing all the things we don't wanna enhance, okay? We're gonna disguise it a little bit. So, all right, basic color correction. Depending on your skin tone will depend on really like how dark of an under eye corrector you need. So some of my favorites, and they're kind of surprising, are actually lip and cheek colors, okay? Now I'm gonna warn you right here, no matter what you've heard from other artists, Never use a lip and cheek under your eye if it's a glossy shade, okay? That is not gonna sit well. The gloss, I mean, no one wants glossy under eyes. It's gonna look weird and funky, and it's not going to last. I promise you that. But the matte shades are gonna dry down to that matte finish. They're always gonna be matte, and they're very creamy. So they're not the same consistency as the highlights, but I've noticed when I wear a lip and cheek under my eyes versus a highlight shade, I notice no difference in wear time throughout the day as long as I set it the same way. The first one I'm gonna talk about is Frenchy, and if you followed me on Instagram, you've probably seen when I did a comparison between Frenchy and my daily go-to, which is Mango, because it's already in my palette. But I noticed no difference when wearing these two. They give me the same kind of coverage, and this one is really good for deep dark circles. So whether you have blue or purple, this one is really good at canceling out blue undertones because of that salmon undertone, and much the same way Mango does because it's got that orange undertone. So you can try that one if you were like, I would say in the light to medium skin tone range. And I'd say if you're a little bit darker skin, you could go with Sandstone, which works, and I know it looks really scary, but it works in much the same way and cancels out that blue and purple. Now, my 4 faves are highlight shades, and they're darker. And I know it sounds really crazy to put like a darker shade, but you gotta remember, this makeup isn't like traditional makeup. Light colors are going to actually enhance texture. They're going to enhance the look of fine lines. And so you want to go darker, okay? It's going to match the depth of that darkness under your eye. And then when you layer on your normal color, that darkness is going to be gone. And I know it sounds crazy, but until you try it, it sounds weird. But this is my go-to. So depending on the depth of your skin will depend on which one you use. And these are my favorite because they will cancel out any skin tone. So whether you have blue undertones, purple, green, gray, brown, like really dark brown, which is what we typically see in an under eye that needs correction, all of these highlight shades are going to cancel out those tones. And you just would pick it depending on how dark your skin tone is. So Mango works from, I've seen anywhere from the lightest skin tones to probably around my skin tone because I can wear Mango. And then when you get into darker under eyes, you're gonna go into the deeper shades. So it goes Goddess, Papaya, and then Cinnamon. And Cinnamon, I know, is very scary, but it works for the darkest of under eyes. And it works like a charm as long as you apply it the right way. Let's go into trying a couple different ones. And I'm just gonna show you guys what works on me so you can visually see it, because it's hard for me to demonstrate some of these darker shades because I don't have that depth of darkness in those areas. But I can use Frenchy and Mango, and so I can show you guys what it looks like on both sides so you can see a comparison. When it comes to tools, I say when you are new to under eye correction, sometimes it's best to just use your fingers as opposed to a brush. And the reason is that I feel like most people, when they start, they add way too much. It's easier to get too much on a brush than it is your finger, because if you just lightly get some on your finger, you can easily build up that color and you're not going to get all the issues that come with using too much highlight or color corrector underneath your eyes. And that's when we get cakey and you see creasing and all of those kind of things. So I'm going to take Frenchy on this side, okay? And I know it's gonna look scary, and I already have my eyes done, but I'm gonna go all the way up through that tear duct area where I have all my purple, okay? And if you've ever like looked in even the drugstore now, all the different brands have different color correctors. And if you look, they always have a salmon corally shade that is used for dark circles, okay? It's nothing new. It is simply using the color wheel and using those counteracting colors. Okay, so I know it looks crazy, but remember at this makeup, you always apply your darkest shade first. Okay, just remember, darkest shade first. So if you have a color corrector, use it first. So the highlights are slightly more sticky. They're not quite as creamy as the matte lip and cheeks, but it works in much the same way. Okay, and I'm gonna go all the way up since I already applied that eyeshadow and kind of clean up that outer edge, which is another benefit to doing your eyes first. I did it on that side too, kind of. Okay, so I have a very light layer, okay? And you can tell they kind of look different when you originally put them on, but I promise you by the end, you're not gonna be able to tell a difference between both of my under eyes. So that was Mango and Frenchie, okay? Now, after you do your color corrector, you are gonna apply your main highlight shade, however you do that, whether you want a full coverage, grab a full coverage brush, but I recommend if you are one to like grab the detail hack for a natural finish, you at least use a brush that you can press on the color. So what's gonna happen if you go in with your main highlight and you start sweeping it on under your eyes is you're gonna remove all of that color corrector you just placed. And then you're not gonna get the coverage you want and you're gonna say, what the heck, this makeup does not work. So the key is pressing on, okay? So I'm just gonna simply barely dab in to my main shade, which is Sandy, okay? And I'm gonna place that color right on top, okay? And see how I am pressing. I'm not moving it around. I'm just simply pressing, okay? And I'm gonna get it to where the rest of my face matches. But since I need some color corrector in some other areas, I'm gonna speed this up so you don't have to watch me do this. Okay, so I'm all evened out. My skin tone is one flat color because I haven't contoured yet. But here I want you to look under your eyes. So I always forget to mention because I know exactly how much to add under my eyes. But when you are starting off using a color corrector, you're not gonna know exactly how much. And with this makeup, if you're new to it, you might not realize it is very easy to use too much product, okay? So if you are already looking cakey or makeup-y under the eyes, between every step, use the Perfector. So apply that Frenchie or Mango or whatever your shade is, okay? Very lightly, then press underneath your eyes, okay? Then go in with your main highlight and then press it again, okay? This sponge needs to be damp. And when I say damp, I feel like sometimes people think it needs to be wet. And I stress that when this Perfector is too wet on me, it pulls the makeup off. When it's too dry, it doesn't do enough, if that makes sense. So I know exactly how damp it needs to be. I make sure I really squeeze it under running water multiple times. I make sure it's completely full. I squeeze it out and I am shaking out as much water as humanly possible Then I put it in the most absorbent towel I own, and not a paper towel. I've noticed that doesn't work for me. I have to put it in like a terry cloth towel, that kind of flour sack towel that's really absorbent, and I wrap it around, I squeeze it. I move it to a different place in the towel, I squeeze it again, and then I sit it out while I start doing my makeup. When I do my eye makeup, and I'm letting this bad boy get a little bit dry, okay? It shouldn't feel wet at all when you touch your skin. It should just feel cold, okay? And that's when it's perfection. I mean, this thing is magical when it is perfect. So then when you press it on, it really is just taking off very minimum amount, like only the excess, but it is not pulling off and making it look patchy in any way, okay? So I wanted to stress Perfector is key. In fact, don't even try to use a color corrector unless you have this. Like, it's not, you're not gonna like the results. You're gonna get creasing, you're gonna get cakiness once you set it. Don't even try it, okay? All right, I went off on a tangent. I apologize. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about order. So this is what works for me. Obviously, experiment with it, but I like to do my all over main color, and then I go in and I contour, okay? And then I like to brighten and then do my lip and cheek, okay? And the reason for that is, especially if you're gonna do a nose contour, it honestly saves me a step. I can contour, okay? Then I can go in and brighten and do that accent highlight at the same time. I can perfect it so I know everything is completely, you know, no creasing, no harsh lines. Then I can add that lip and cheek. And I find that if I do my brightening before my lip and cheek, then I won't have to correct my lip and cheek as much. Does that make sense? Because if you brighten and then, or if you put your lip and cheek on and then you brighten, you tend to cover up part of your lip cheek color. Does that make sense? So that is the order I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go ahead and contour real quick, and then we'll come back to talk about that accent highlight. Okay, so let's talk about that accent highlight. I feel like it makes such a big difference, especially if you really like that highlighted, brightened effect that brings all that attention to your eyes. So depending on what your artist recommended for you, depending on like how dark your skin tone is, will kind of, you might have more options because you can go with a more subtle accent highlight, or you can go with a more, I call it a pop, a brighter one that's gonna really pop. So with me, I'm almost on like the sandy mango range. So if I want subtle, I would go with more like candlelit. But if I want more of a pop, I'm gonna go with Aura, and even more of a pop would be Linen. Let's go with Aura. So this is, let's see, how many colors is this? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is about 6 shades down from what I normally wear. So that's a lot. You don't have to do just 1 shade down. I know that's kind of a misconception, because some of them are so similar, you're not even gonna notice a difference. I'd at least go 2 to 3 shades lighter if possible. If you wear a very, very light highlight, you might not have as many options, but your artist can definitely recommend what's best for your undertones, because we're gonna look at undertones here. So just remember, the brighter the under eye accent highlight, your brightener you choose, the more it's gonna have the tendency to enhance those fine lines. So if you have more mature skin, you might want a less bright accent, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna show you my normal everyday go-to, which is Aura for me, because I have more yellow undertones. And I'm gonna show you 2 ways of doing it. You guys, if you've ever watched any of my hack videos, you've probably seen I am an avid under eye triangle of light lover. I love the look I get from brightening all the way from the corner of my eye down to the side of my nose, all the way back up to the other corner. And that right there is amazing at the pop it gives you, okay? The number one mistake I see people is if they do have under eye dark circles or bags, they try to highlight just on that bag. And that is the worst thing you can do. In fact, you're gonna draw more attention to that bag area if you do that. So in order to kind of bring attention to your entire eye, okay, and not just the problem area, you wanna go all the way down, okay? So I'm gonna show you what the triangle of light looks like. Your brush option is up to you. I would choose a brush if you already did all that color correction that you don't have to drag the brush or swipe, that you can more press it on, okay? So you have the small end of the detail hack. This one is sometimes better if you're not an under eye corrector, because you can make those sun rays and kind of sweep it in like that, as well as this side of the Best Blend Forever brush. I like the pointed end of the 32nd because you can press it and it is really good at getting in that inner corner, okay? Or the small end of the Buffy, which Buffy has been my favorite lately. So I'm gonna show you with the 32nd because I feel like most people start with this brush or have it already. So all I'm gonna do is I'm going to tap into my under eye highlight. I'm gonna start right up in that tear duct and I'm gonna kind of follow that side of my nose. Now I contoured my nose, so I want that line to go all the way up to that contour line, okay? And I'm gonna go all the way down. I'm keeping that nostril light and bright. Now, if you didn't contour your nose, you can do the same thing. You just don't have to go all the way up on the side of your nose. Unless you're like me, I just have a lot of darkness on the side of my nose, so I like to brighten that area. Then you can go in and go all the way over to the corner of your eye. This is where it's nice. You can kind of sweep that up and clean up your eyeshadow. Okay, and then you're gonna press it all the way from the corner of that eye down to the side of your nose and make sure you've filled it all in between, okay? And so I'm trying to lay this on a little heavy so you guys can see it. It doesn't have to be that heavy. The heavier you apply it, the more you're gonna have to use your Perfector. It's pretty much how it goes, okay? And since I've already got that there, I'm gonna go ahead and brighten this part of my face. So forehead, we go right to the center of the chin, Cupid's bow, and then I like to use my finger and I go right down the center of that nose contour and fan it in between the brows. Okay, so can you tell a difference? This side has been brightened and this side has not. Okay. So I recommend the triangle of light for those ladies who don't have a lot of problem areas in the whole fine line department. Now I do, but if I'm careful, it doesn't accentuate them so much that I don't like it, if that makes sense. But this is my bad eye. I've got more wrinkles on this eye, so I'm gonna show you what I would do for more mature eyes, okay? And it's the same concept. You just don't want to make as big of a triangle, okay? So you really want to concentrate up here by the tear duct, and if you're darker in this area. You want to brighten that. Okay, and then you just want to stop about here and go down like this. So you're still making it there. You're just really making sure that this part of your face right here is nice and bright, and you don't want to add that lighter color where you have the most lines. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. We're going to go all the way up here and go down, and I'm using the Best Blend Forever because this is a smaller brush, so it's easier to kind of do a smaller surface area. Okay, I'm still going to go down the side of my nose. I've got something on my face. I'm still going to go down that contour line. Okay. And I'm going to try to lay this on thick so you guys can see. I'm laying it on real thick. Okay, so just press, press, press. It'll blend out. Okay, so can you see how I still brightened under my eye and got that nose to be a little bit brighter, but I did not put any in this area. Okay, that is where my fine lines are the worst. So that is the difference. They're both brightened. Now we're going to perfect it so it doesn't look crazy like we have a ton of makeup on and it looks natural. Okay, so when you're using your perfector, don't ever push and sweep. We are pouncing, literally just pouncing it over the skin, okay? This is what's gonna press it into the skin, give it more of that airbrush look, because who seriously does not wanna look airbrushed under their eyes? I know I do. Okay, you can do it everywhere. In fact, if you aren't used to doing it everywhere, you'd probably be surprised in the difference your makeup would look. So feel free to move it around. If it's starting to feel dry in a place, move it around. Anywhere you applied more than one highlight, I always say, no matter what, pounce that perfector on. Okay, and then the more you added, the more you need to use your perfector. And really do this until it doesn't look like makeup, okay? It should look like your skin. Okay, so you can probably see the difference. This side is obviously brighter because I took the highlight all the way up to the edge, and this area I did not brighten. Okay, so another trick I'm gonna show you is if you have those bag areas or tear trough lines or whatever you want to call them, like I do. So I have a bad one like right through here. Okay, I mean, you can see if I move my face, I have them. We all have them, right? So if I don't want to accentuate, you know, that too much, but I need that brightened, you really want to kind of look at where you have the most shadow, okay? We're not wanting to create shadows around our eyes, not like with our contour. We're wanting to keep those areas bright, reflect the light, and that is what's going to make them look better and not as pronounced. So if I move my head like this, you're gonna see this area is brightened and this area is more shadowed, correct? Because everyone see that? So you want to concentrate the highlight, the lighter shade, where there's most shadow, okay? I always seem to have a problem area right there. And I mean, obviously it's not going to change the contours of your face, but we are trying to trick the eye and we're trying to bounce light. It's all about bouncing light. Okay? Then again, perfect it out so it doesn't look like makeup. Okay? And it gives that brightened effect and it makes it less noticeable. Hopefully you can tell. Sometimes the camera is deceiving. I also have, oh my gosh, I got them everywhere. Right there. So again, this is probably why I just do the entire under eye on both sides normally. Otherwise, I'd have to be doing every little crease, which is a lot. I told you guys, this is my problem area. So, okay. Okay, so that side's brightened, and it doesn't look like I have bags under my eyes, right? That is the trick. In fact, I feel like I could take a little bit more right there. Ah, see, that's better. So, play around with it and kind of look at your eyes. Get to know your eyes. Like, know if you have one problem area on one versus the other. Totally makes a difference. Okay. Now, think I've stressed the what's the word? Importance of what a Perfector sponge can do. Okay. Now it's time to set. And I feel like this probably isn't stressed enough, that the way you set your under eyes can make it look from young to it's automatically going to age you, because people use too much powder. All right. So powder is the one thing that's going to make your under eyes look drier, and it's going to settle into those fine lines because powder's set, unlike these creams. Now, I am an avid under eye powderer. Is that a thing? Because if I don't, all of these will get creasing through the day. And I'd rather have a slightly more drier looking under eye than to have creasing, but that is a personal preference. So some people are like, I have creasing. Okay, then you need to set. Well, then that makes me look older. Unfortunately, there's no in between. You just want to make sure you have a good setting powder and that you are using the smallest amount possible. And I promise that makes a huge difference. And then also using a setting spray and kind of spraying it on those areas is going to kind of make that powder less powdery looking. It's going to take away that powder finish slightly, so that could help as well. But I'm going to show you what I do. There's a couple different ways I normally advise people to use a powder or to actually apply it, and that's either a brush or the Perfector. Now, I love our vanilla dust, but it doesn't work for everyone. I find it's really good because it is translucent and it's a very fine powder. Now, the biggest problem I find is that people that maybe use a loose powder all over, they go ahead and put that under their eye, and the powder is too thick, it's too cakey, it's too heavy for your under eyes. So this is why if you see a lot of beauty bloggers, they're always using a different powder under their eyes versus the rest of their face. And powders like this probably don't help with oiliness as much, but for the under eye, they're perfect because they're that nice, loosely milled, finely milled powder. So, I don't bake under my eyes. And if you don't know what baking is, that's when you put an excess of loose powder under your eyes. You wait about 5 minutes, you let the warmth of your skin kind of meld it in, and then you brush in or brush off the excess. I find baking is the fastest way to accentuate any fine lines you have. Okay. Now, I feel like the only reason you really need to do that, and yes, beauty bloggers say it gives you more airbrushed look. I find that most of those people are 20 and they don't have that issue that I have, and I just can't do it. So if you're like me, avoid baking under the eyes. Most people don't have oiliness in that area. Anyway, I say keep baking towards your oily main parts of your face if you like to bake. Okay, so vanilla dust and the Power Powder Brush are my fave. Now, the reason why is because I know exactly how to dip into this and get the perfect amount for my under eye. It's not going to crease. It's not going to get cakey, because I know if I look at my under eyes, I've perfected it enough. Okay. You always can pat out creases through the day if you don't want to set your makeup, okay? It's very simple with creams. You can just do this a couple times a day. You don't have to worry about ever getting that dry under eye crepey look. But if you're worried about creasing instead, you can set it. It's your preference. So I like to set mine. I literally barely touch my powder. I barely touch it, and that is enough for my entire under eye to get the look I want, and I know I'm not gonna get any creases. So I don't swipe. This is a delicate under eye. Don't wanna move anything. I just press on the powder. Okay, there's another way you can use your damp perfector, and you can swipe. Now, can you see the difference of how much I got on that? I mean, if I put that much powder under my eyes, I'm gonna immediately look crepey. And I know my under eye. So if it's not a big problem, I would use this method for maybe on my face, but for my under eyes, I don't. Now, if you like a loose powder, Laura Mercier has this secret brightening powder. It's very finely milled and it slightly brightens. It is another good option. And what I would do is just barely use what's in the lid, okay? And I do the exact same thing. I just touch it with my brush and I press it on, okay? Charlotte Tilbury also has a good one that is a pressed form, but if Vanilla Dust does not work for you, this one is really good as well because it's that super, super fine powder. It's not meant to be a loose powder for all over your face. That is the actual translucent loose powder. So make sure secret brightening versus loose. So once you've set under your eyes, if you look at it and you feel like you're still looking dry or something like that, you can then use your setting spray. Now is when I like to go in and go ahead and add my lip and cheek and my illuminator, and then we're gonna finish off our eye look. So I added Lolly Lip and Cheek and Angel Illuminator, and one thing I wanted to mention, especially for my more mature skin ladies, sometimes people are really scared of an illuminator. And it's because if we have an increase in fine lines there, obviously anything with a little shimmer in it is going to accentuate fine lines because it's reflecting light. It's going to bring attention to that. So I would say if you have more mature skin, maybe avoid our powder illuminators because they can settle into those fine lines and they are much more intense. So they're going to really bring more attention to that. But I say with our cream illuminators, as long as you are not applying it too close to your eyes. So I make sure I am applying mine right here, which is right above my lip and cheek. So contour, lip and cheek, and illuminator. So they're all touching and you don't have any gaps. But as long as you avoid your eye area and keep it right along that line, it's not gonna increase the look of your fine lines. And in fact, it makes you look a lot younger because it gives you that glow to your skin. And we all know healthy, moisturized, glowing skin looks younger, which is all of our goals, correct? Yes. Okay, so now I'm just gonna finish off the eye look. And I am an avid haloer because I do have a lot of fine lines underneath my eyes. And I find that using any kind of pencil or liner on the bottom is pretty harsh unless I use some kind of powder shadow to kind of soften it and kind of blur it out. And as I realized that when I added that powder underneath my eyes, it's actually taking away some of those wrinkles. It's like it kind of hides them in a way. And I can't, this is why you see in every one of my videos, if I'm wearing eyeshadow, I'm always haloing under my eyes. So what that entails is just using the small end of the eyeshadow everything. I usually use the same mid-tone matte brown that I use on my crease, and then you simply just run it along your your lower lash line, like so. Flip it around to the big end, blend it out. And I swear it softens the look of my under eye wrinkles. I swear it does. So, try it. Let me know what you think. It's a way of defining the eye without having to use a harsh liner. Now, when I do use a liner, I like to concentrate it on that outer third to no more than half through my eye, and then smoke it out, because that's just the way my eyes work. My eyes are small and it closes off my eye. But this can work any everyday look. You can add a little bit of halo and a little bit of mascara, and you should be good to go. Okay, I'm just going to use my setting spray. It's gonna give me a dewy finish, which obviously will make my skin look even younger. Be generous with it. It'll take down some of that powdery finish, especially if you're one that doesn't like that powder, and you are good to go. So that is it, my finished look. Hopefully this helps you with some tricks on the under eye and some new things to try. And yeah, let me know if this helped you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Love y'all. Bye.